Florence, do you mind to say the password one more time, please?
Florence, can you share that? The password is Astoria, Astoria, all lowercase, 25, no spaces, dash 22. Astoria 25 dash 22. Okay, thank you. Testing. Okay, we ready to start? Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Community Board 1, our April board meeting. I'm Evie, the chair. I'd like to start off by actually welcoming our brand new Community Board members who are here tonight. So first of all, raise your hand if you're a new board member. Okay. Yes. I actually would like you to introduce yourself before we get into the presentations, just so everybody knows who you are. So if there's a microphone, just speak into the microphone. We can kind of go around starting with Mario. Just say your name, maybe a sentence about yourself.
Mario Vergara. I live. Really excited to be here. Yeah.
Tell a little bit more, like if you want. If you want, you don't have to. Maybe just what you do, any community involvement, or not. It's up to you.
I've lived in the neighborhood for 7 years. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Lived in New York for about half my life so far.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mario.
Hi, my name is Quinella Williams, and I live on Steinway and 38th Street, the same building where the Dollar Tree is. I'm lucky. I've been in Astoria and Long Island City and Queensbridge and Astoria Housing, and now I'm on Steinway since 1977. That's it.
Welcome,
Awesome. Good evening. My name is Chris Batris. I live in 28 and 33rd Street. I grew up in Astoria, 34 and 30.
Parts of the renovation that would be made so that we could have, easier access for people who are handicapped. So I'm just going to mention that the outside work has to go before a part of the city agencies called the Public Design Commission. And so whenever we change, even windows, I even had a job when I was with the libraries unit at DDC where we changed security lighting, and they had to go before the Public Design Commission. And they even wanted to see how the lighting affects people at night when they're walking the dog. Okay, would you believe it? So the PDC can be quite strict, but sometimes they have some good design sense. So, but particularly for that ramp, if you can see anything that's changed on the outside elevation that can be seen from the street, then we have to, as a city-owned building, submit this to the Public Design Commission. So we would need from you a letter of support from here, the community board. And let's see what else I have to say. People may ask about the construction time. We can only say we think it might be start because it takes time we have to bid this project out to contractors and approve them and so forth, that it probably won't happen until late 2025 or early 2026. So I don't know if there's anything else I can mention about it. So just the exterior we're presenting to you right now, and if you have any questions about this.
Great. Okay, let's start to my right. Danny? Pass the microphone.
Okay. Hello? Yeah, okay. I have a few questions. One is, you said that you're going to do the outside, you're talking with us about the outside. Yeah. When will you be doing the inside?
Well, this would be one project that's bid as a whole project. So it would be, first of all, they have to work, when they start construction, they have to work as to not upset operations as much as possible, because it's a critical agency that has to maintain their hours and their ability to do their job within the precinct and outside. So it would be, we can't say if they would do the outside first. They definitely would have to do the ramp and, spring, summer, fall, but not in the wintertime. So that would be scheduled. Whatever is best for the operation of the police department, the scheduling, and if it's necessary, not that I would say they would do it in the evening, they would try to make it so that they make the least amount of noise as possible. But that's an issue that would deal with the building department.
So the timeframe that you mentioned is for the entire project or just the outside? Or
No, it would start. Probably most of these projects, now the elevator to do that, that's going to be sort of a longer item. I'm going to guess and say it's going to be at least 2 to 3 years for the elevator. Okay. Yeah.
So yes, both exterior and interior part of the project, part of the same project. The phasing is gonna be different, but the project's gonna start in late 2025, probably early 2026, and it's gonna last maybe 2 to 3 years. It's gonna address all the interior and exterior components. Yes.
So 2 to 3 years for, so 2 to 3 years for the entire project?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned the outside, but on the inside, what type of renovations are you doing? Are you changing the doors to make the doors wider?
Some of the
you
doors are
changing
getting
doorknobs?
Yes. Some
windows?
of the bathrooms are getting upgraded. The doors are getting upgraded. The main component is an ADA elevator that provides access to the second floor and to the lower level, to the basement. And some of the bathrooms are getting upgraded. ADA bathrooms are being provided on all floors.
Okay, that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Amin? Gonna go around this way.
Why we're not going for the permanent ramp? Why should we need that? It's going to be much easier for the people to go in because we have I know that the door is much bigger. So on one side, if you make a one for the permanently for the wheelchair accessible people, that's going to be much easier for operation for you guys and for the public also. So they don't have to wait. Why you are not going for that?
Well, I think that the main entrance is what people are used to. We have, so we're given an option of both, to use both exits, both entrances. Normally, the one on the side is for the police use most of the time. So we want to do that just because we already have a ramp there, and as we said, it's not ADA compliant, so we're able to get the funding to do it. So we think that it's most profitable to do both. But remember that the front entrance, we don't have that much room. So we have to, use what we can, and this type of a lift apparently is the best solution we could come up with.
Thank you. Anyone else on this side? Oh, Jean Marie?
Are you eliminating the staircase completely?
No, we're not touching the staircase.
Oh, the staircase is going to remain?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. I can't see who's behind Andres. Oh, it's Katie. Okay.
Hi, I have a question and then a comment. How will the visitors to the precinct that need access because of ability let the police department know? There's usually an officer outside, I guess that person, but if it's raining,
Yes.
is there going to be an intercom? How will that work?
Yeah, there usually is an officer in front of most precincts, and I'm sure that there is some sort of video that would indicate somebody's, handicapped or approaching and wanting to get inside. That's something that would be, up. This part of that answer is according to the command. For right now, there should be an officer outside. Most of the time, there is. And we may even have a bell. Okay.
So are you asking about accessibility to the door? The front door. So the new doors and the wheelchair are going to be provided with an accessible, with an operator arm and an activation
plate, right? So somebody in a wheelchair can just push the activation plate and the doors automatically open. The same thing with the lift, with the wheelchair lift. And the same thing is provided for the rear entrance with the gate.
And then that second, I haven't been in the precinct in a while, but
Yeah.
is there a second set of doors at the
Yes,
top of the stairs?
and they are
So
provided
those
the
will also
same way.
be auto-opened?
So the way it's wired, as soon as the wheelchair lift is activated, the set of doors opens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just a comment, I think it's great that the precinct is going to be accessible to the entire community in this way, but outside the precinct, the sidewalk is a mess, and if you are in a wheelchair, there are so many tipping points there, and also the side streets around where the cops are parking, you can't get a wheelchair down those sidewalks to get to the precinct. So for this to be a truly accessible space, and for the neighbors that live there, I think a holistic picture on making it truly accessible would be great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that point.
Thanks, Katie. Anyone else?
We will have to investigate that. Okay.
Okay, Adam, then Christian.
Yeah, I just wanted to very quickly reemphasize that comment that this is all well and good, but you cannot access these streets because of the way that employees are parking on these streets. There's often, far less than the 8 feet that's required, but to the point where you couldn't get a wheelchair through here. So if you can't access the sidewalks, you can't access the building. So I would say that's a necessary part of making this building ADA compliant. Just wanted to reemphasize that.
Thank you. Christian?
Sure, thank you. You were talking about the interiors, right? Renovation and all that, and you said the project's gonna take about 2 to 3 years, correct?
Yes.
All right, are you guys planning to hire any union labor or any local hiring, paying, area standard wages?
Yes, the project will go to bid, and what normally happens on a project of a certain amount, I don't know what the amount is.
It's a threshold.
Yeah. This project will easily require that the contractor has to hire like 90% union people.
So it's gonna fall into like PLA or something like that?
Right, yeah.
So it's gonna be open for bidding and everything?
yes.
All right.
Yes.
And then local hiring, obviously, right? So we can create more jobs for, local people over here in Queens.
Yes, but again, it depends on, certain factors in
Sure.
bidding, so, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Dom?
Hey, Dominic Stiller, and I think it's ironic but appropriate that you're doing this ADA improvement. I'm kind of echoing the comments you heard before. You've got the ramps coming in, and you've got the elevator coming in, and so I'm not surprised that you don't have any ADA parking spots outside because you don't need them. You park all over the sidewalks already. I'm sure you need more parking. Good. Is it empty when? Anyway, I don't mean it to be a discussion. I just want to echo that there's an observable double standard between police personnel's ability to park illegally and the public, and until that's made equitable, I just want to mention it every time I can, and hopefully you can bring this back to the powers that be, and slowly you can get the police officers on the subway. That will improve the subway.
All right,
and
Dom,
so forth.
Dom, got it. Let's try and stick to the topic. I got it. I think the point was made, so that's good.
Right.
And I think that maybe we can have a conversation with the Public Safety Committee. You're here to present on the design, right? So I get it, but let's keep going, okay? All right. Anyone else? Burning question. We're good? All right. Jacqueline, sorry.
Thank you. My question has to do with the design. Will the design of the lift pose a significant obstruction along the sidewalk for pedestrians?
Well, the wheelchair lift will be within the vestibule, entry vestibule. That's what we show over here. So this is the sidewalk here, and they're moving the doors to the if you want to say to the right, when you're looking at the front of the building. So they show a 5-foot turning radius here, and that they would have the lift as far away from the doors as possible. So
What you're seeing here is the lift open, in the open position. When it's closed, It's less than 6 inches away from the wall. So, and the other lift, the main lift is inside the building, so it doesn't affect anything.
All right, Richard, last question.
Yeah, real quick, and I might have missed this, but this construction will block off that entrance. Is there a secondary entrance that people will be using? And exactly how long a time period are we looking at?
Okay, well, I'll answer the last question, at least 2 years it will take because of the elevator mostly. As far as egress, they have to make, we're supposed to have 2 means of egress out of the first floor. So when they do this work, we have to look and see, I guess we don't have the plan for the other one. Yeah, these are the 2 means of egress, but do we have another means of, no, okay, so these are the 2 main means of egress. So when they do work on the doors, we have this often, replacing storefront, entrance doors. We usually have, to make sure that when they're installing it, that there's the least amount of people coming in and coming out. And that's generally something that they try to have it as prefabricated as possible and install it when it's the right time. That's the best way I can put it, so.
Thank you. So just to summarize, you're asking for a letter of support from the board.
Yes.
To go to the Public Design Commission.
Yes.
So we will vote on that during the business section of the meeting. Thank you so much for your presentation.
I'd just like to make one little comment.
Sure.
Yes, thank you for the comment about the sidewalk. I would just make one comment is that, say very carefully, but be in contact with the city council person about that. And a lot of times funding is very difficult to get. And yes, it would be, it may be it's Department of Transportation that has to deal with the sidewalk. I don't have an answer for that yet. So that's a very good point. The point about the parking, yes, we hear it. We're going to have to, that's an issue that's going to be outside, but the city council person, I think, is a key person to contact. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much. Okay. All right, we are going to move on now to our public hearing. We have 2 items. The first item is regarding 3875 11th Street for a BSA permit. The applicants are here, yes, to present. Please introduce yourself, and you have the floor. And then we'll take questions after the presentation is over.
All right, thanks.
The 11th Street. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. Can you hear me okay with this? I don't know. Turn up. There you go. Okay, great. Thank you. My name is Eric Palatnik. I'm here tonight. I'm representing 38-75 11th Street, which is a hotel that's stalled out and located within your community board. It started construction in December of 2018, and it stalled during COVID, and we came to you in 2022 to ask permission to extend the time to complete construction because the permits expired in 2021. And when we got to you, you supported the request to extend the permits, and so did the Board of Standards and Appeals. We'd made an application to them, and that's why you heard it. And then subsequently, they had until December of 23 to continue construction, and they have not yet secured funding. So we are here tonight to ask your permission again for another 2 years to continue to complete construction. They're close to getting funding. They're about 2 or 3 months away from doing that right now. And Alonzo is controlling the screen. If you can click to a picture of the building right now, there you go. That's a depiction of the building there. The building is 5 stories right now. It will be 11 stories when it's done. It will have 168 rooms, for those who are not familiar with it. And it will have 21 parking spaces. It's all permitted entirely as of right. There is no request for any discretionary action at all, other than the continuation of the permit. And just so people in the room who may not be familiar why the permit expired and why we're here to begin with, is during the tail end of the de Blasio administration, a law was put into place that prohibits the creation of any new hotel rooms within the city of New York without first going to the Department of City Planning for a special permit. This is one of the last hotels that got approval before that law took effect. So that's why we're here, and that's why we must come and ask special permission to extend the permit. If there was no law that came into effect, we could just go to the Department of Buildings and reinstate the permit. So that is the request of why we're here. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have about anything. We have more presentation. We could click through a couple of pictures if you wanted to see a little bit about where the property is. Alonzo, if you can click forward, show everybody on a map where it is, zoom in. There you go. Go back. The property is depicted right there. You can see it's right next to the Queensbridge houses. And you can see the hotel right there is next to some taller other, actually I believe they're existing hotels around us. And that hotel is not completed yet, and you can see it right there. That essentially summarizes our application. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions any board members may have. Thank you.
All right, if you have a question, raise your hand. Corinne?
Hi.
Oh,
I would like to know what is the proposed plan for what type of hotel? We have about 17 in that same radius. So please explain to me what the purpose is of that one. I remember when the job actually shut down. That was before the other 13 went up. So why are we putting this hotel across the street from the development again?
Well, unfortunately, the hotel is one of the few uses, other than it's a manufacturing district, so you're entitled to build the hotel as of right. You don't need any special discretionary approval for it. So when they started it, they were allowed to build it. So they're here to renew that. So the chain that's coming in is named Yotel, Y-O-T-E-L, and they have a contract with them, which we've submitted as a part of the application materials. But that was the business plan, and they understand that more hotels have come in since they applied. And even more importantly, I understand your concern.
So I don't know. I don't feel like you answered my question. But you're just saying that it's going to be a hotel, and what else? You named a couple other things.
Yotel. Yotel is the Y-O-T-E-L is the name of the hotel brand that's going to be going in there. It's a chain.
That's a chain, but I'm asking the purpose. Is it the hotel being there? Right. Is it a shelter, or what is the?
No, the hotel is a for-profit hotel chain hotel. There's no contract with the city. There's no agreement with the city. There's no intention to create a contract with the city. And I'm not involved in any discussions, negotiations, or anything related to a discussion with the city about a homeless shelter.
We have 17 of them in that.
I know you do.
Walking radius from there, and we don't need another hotel.
I can
Nobody took
appreciate
care of
that.
that property while it was underdeveloped. It's being housed by homeless people. Nobody is attending to it. It's an eyesore to the community, and I feel like now is just poor timing, period, to bring that to the table. We literally have 17 hotels. Explain to me how that's going to benefit where we live right across the street. Literally.
okay.
understand.
Next,
Thank you.
other questions? Jerry?
Mr. Palatnik, Section 11-332 is stated in your application. Could you explain to the board what criteria the Board of Standards and Appeals is looking for you to approve this case?
Yeah, this is what Jerry is referring is that in order for us to make the application, we have to document that we have a valid building permit and that we've entered into substantial contracts with other people, paid them money, entered into business contracts, and owe them more money. And we have to demonstrate that we paid money towards the completion of the project to some degree. In this case, the project is, I believe the numbers, look at my notes here. Give me one short second. It's a $23 million project, and they've committed themselves to $18 million of it through contracts already, and they've spent $5 million of that $18 million in cash money already. So that's the criteria that the zoning board is looking at, the same as they would look at it for you. The idea of it being that if you started a development and something changed in the law and you don't have the ability to finish it, it would be unfair for the government to take away the right for you to finish it if you had a problem. And if you could show them that you've done everything in good faith and you've tried to do it and that you've been an honest broker, then the government has the right to grant you the ability to extend that permit. I can understand the concern that's been raised, having said all that.
Christian.
Thank you. I have a quick question for you. You're talking about $23 million, right? Is that private money, or are you guys using any grant money from the
Private,
city?
it's all private money.
Thank you. Antonella? Into the mic, please.
Two questions. What happens if the permit is not approved, if we don't approve the permit extension? And second, could that be converted to housing, that property?
It cannot be converted to housing right now under the current zoning. That's part of the problem that was mentioned up front, and that's part of it's hand in hand, and it should be changed, in my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. But having said that, it's not allowed right now to be used for housing. Now, if this were not approved, this is an advisory opinion to the Board of Standards and Appeals. Practically speaking, the Board of Standards and Appeals will take your opinion, but more likely than not, they will reinstate the permit. But let's just say they did not reinstate the permit. The site would have to be torn down at some point by somebody, but more likely than not, if it was not reinstated, it would go into a foreclosure state or bankruptcy, and at that point, you'd wait until somebody came along that would buy it and then redevelop it. So, but more likely than not, the way the BSA looks at it is the way that I was talking about. Jerry has the experience there, as do I, that there's been an effort made to continue on with the development. Thank you.
Next question. I'm going to just, okay, people I haven't heard from. Stella? And then I'll go over to the other side after Vanessa.
How many years of an extension do you need? And have you had commitments already from private investors to invest to complete this project?
We're in the middle of it. As you can imagine, right now is unfortunately in the past few years have really not been the best time to go get money. We are out right now. We have an active investor that we are hoping by the summertime will be investing in the project. We're asking for 2 more years right now. I don't know if that's going to be enough time. We're going to find out when they invest. And if not, we'll be making another application to come back to get more time, because the 2 years will not be enough time, if that's what they tell me. But I'm waiting for the investor. If the investor was in right now, we'd have more than enough time. Every month that goes by gets a little closer, and I may be back. And those are very good questions.
Thank you.
Okay, Vanessa, and then other side, I promise.
As it was stated that there's a lot of hotels in that area. Many times, people like yourselves come before the board talking about putting up these hotels, and later on we discover they've become shelters or part of the property be shelters. You're stating that that's not going to be the case, but unfortunately we have discovered far too often that is the case, and the community that's affected by it is ours. And nothing is said in advance that this is going to happen. And then the problem we have is that those properties are not properly monitored, with those people getting the proper care. They are allowed to just roam through the neighborhoods just without no care or guidance. And that's a concern that we have, because we see this too often in a small area of many clusters of these hotels. And you can stand there and say to us that this is the plan, but unfortunately, too many of these plans have turned out to be far more than something else than it was. And then the community is suffering with a lot of people who have mental issues and other type of concerns that affects our quality of
All right.
life.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. I'm trying to, is that Thomas? Thomas. No, I'm looking at your face. Yeah. Although, do you like the little name placards? Is that helpful?
I do.
Okay, great.
Thank you. For all of you, I see some new faces. My name is Thomas Wright. Nice to see all of you. Sir, when you started this, you urged us to extend this because you said this property had been extended and was in the process of securing financing. I wanted to say that that procedure of securing financing would very much be as you or I were building a hotel and we went to secure financing. You then provided that this is a Yotel ownership, or owned by Yotel. I want to share with my fellow community boards, Yotel is a company with main shareholders that include Al Bahar Group, Starwood Capital Group, United Investment Portal, and the Kuwait Real Estate Company, which I believe is sovereign money. Now, my understanding is that COVID did not affect these funds. These were not looking for income. This is a conglomerate which has come into our company, or come into our neighborhood, and has abandoned a property. And I feel you're selling me a pig in a poke, something that's in the bag, but I want to look in the bag. I don't understand why would Kuwait sovereign money and all of these other huge funds, including Starwood, say, well, we don't have enough money to finish the next 6 stories of a building we've gone halfway through, and we're going to abandon it and leave it fallow, then come in. I haven't seen any proof that there is funding behind this project, and I would really be interested at what is the game that's being played here? Has this been seen as an investment which should not have been made, and that it doesn't show that it has return after COVID, or did the money dry up due to COVID? And are they looking to abandon this project, and you're just here looking for an extension so that it can be sold?
Those are a lot of good questions. So you know, I don't represent Yotel at all. I know nothing about any international comments you may have just stated or any companies or their finances. Yotel has a contract with the ownership, which I represent, of the property, and the contract for Yotel is to occupy the building, and the responsibility of ownership is to build that building. It is not Yotel's responsibility to build it, nor it is their responsibility to provide the funding for it. It is the owner's responsibility to do that, and the owner takes the contract with the companies such as Yotel, which you just said, and Starwood, and all the other organizations that presumably have great financial credit, and they go to a bank, and they show a bank, a lending institution, the owner does, that they have suitable credibility in order to develop it. Now, I'm not involved in any of that.
Sir,
But
I was
none
a
of that
finance
has any-
attorney at Prescott Rose for years.
Okay.
I understand finance.
All
That's
right.
why I'm questioning your introduction of facts that are now said to be extrinsic, including the ownership of the hotel, the financing of the hotel. What financing documents have you provided to show us that you have secured financing that you'll receive
We
within the
could-
next few months?
We don't have any financing. I'm here telling you, there is no financing in place right now. That's
I
why I'm
believe
here.
you introduced facts that said within the next few months you will
I
receive
said we're
financing.
working on obtaining financing. The ownership is, they have not yet secured it. There
And you
is no
provided that you
financing.
did have an investor. Is that
No,
true?
we have no investors right now.
You have a potential investor.
I'm representing ownership right now. I'm not involved. I'm here representing a zoning action. I'm not involved
Okay.
in any negotiations of any
Who is your
sort.
client?
I'll give you the name.
I know, okay,
Should be on the application
let's-
materials, but hold
Thank you,
on.
Thomas. Those
Yes.
are all good questions. I want to make sure other people have an opportunity as well. Brian?
Hello, to follow up on that, and first of all, happy birthday, Florence. Is it your birthday? What are you,
Happy
what are you,
birthday.
what are you, 34 now? 21, there you go.
21.
Beautiful. 16. I would wanted to ask, so within the next 24 to 36 hours, I think the new 48X, 4021A tax rebasement replacement program is going to probably come into effect or be announced at some point. Is this going to affect the ability of whoever you have on deck for financing, or is this going to have anything to do with that whatsoever, as far as whatever you have allocated to the project or what's left over for the project?
No.
No, right?
No, not at all. And to answer the question, St. John Real Estate is the owner of the premises. But that's a residential tax abatement. It's not commercial.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Okay, I have a question, actually. You say that you haven't, the slowdown has been because of COVID, and then it was also no financing, but there's a stop work order on this property, and there have been over 40 violations issued just for oath and ECB, other ones issued by DOB, many open violations. So is that contributing to the slowdown of finishing this property at all?
No, it's not. Once they have funding, they'll resolve all the violations and they'll get back in business. That's not stopping it at all.
So the stop work order doesn't prevent the building from being delayed?
Not right now, because they don't have any money to resolve the stop work orders right now. I'm not familiar with what the nature of the stop work order is. Might be very well because of the zoning change itself. I'd have to review that and let you know.
No, it has to do with safety, construction safety, things like that.
All those
Pretty hefty
items
fines.
All those items would be resolved when the permits got reinstated.
Okay, all right. With that, any other final questions? No? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think you're staying up there for the next presentation as well.
I stick around.
Okay, that's item 2. It's 2709 40th Avenue for a fresh certification.
All right, my name is same name, Eric Palatnik. Thank you very much for having me. Tonight's application is a little more straightforward. What we are asking you for, and I know there's some new people here, so I'll start from the beginning. Well, first of all, the property is depicted there. Why don't you go to a picture, Alonzo, that shows where it is? Okay, great. That helps everybody out a little bit. It should give everybody a little bit of an idea. So the property that we're here for tonight is a development that's under construction. The development is allowed to be there. It's located in what's called an M12 R5D zoning district. It's going to be, when it's done, and it's pretty much done at this point, it'll be 6 stories, 60 feet tall, 46 condominiums, and they'll have number of parking spaces, 113 parking spaces. So, the ground floor of it is why we're here. The ground floor is going to have a supermarket. And the supermarket is going to be what's called a fresh store. And the fresh store will be 13,000 square feet. So it will be called, the name of it will be called, and I have it here somewhere, but I'll tell you, Gaynor Green Market. The owner is a local person from Astoria. They have 2 other markets in Manhattan, Food for Health and Matter of Health, and they have another one in Westchester. When they build the supermarket here, what I mentioned a moment ago, which is going to be about 13,000 square feet at the ground floor, the city has a program that encourages people to build supermarkets. And it says, if you build a supermarket, we'll give you the square footage up to 15,000 square feet up in the building somewhere else, the same amount. So we'll match you. It's like sort of like when you donate money to something, right? They go matching, we'll match you when you donate. Same thing. And the reason why they do it, the reason why people match you when you donate to the charity, is they want to encourage you to do it. Well, the city wants, somebody sat down at the city, a lot of people, the city council sat down and said, there's not enough supermarkets. And for a while there haven't been. In recent times we're seeing more, in large part because of this album, things like this. So if you click forward a little bit, Alonzo, go to the one that's got the color of all the plans, of all the floors. You know, the one that's, yeah, that one. There's one that should have different colors in it. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's the ground floor of the building in a plan format. I'll start in the top right corner and I'll work around it. Basically, the top right corner with the pink is going to be a loading zone. And then the green, the yellow, and the blues, those represent different products that need to be sold within the space in order for the city to call it a fresh. So I can't just walk in with Dwayne Reed and say I'm building a supermarket. I have to come in with a program that gives, and this has square footages down at the bottom. I'm not going to bore you with all of them, nor are my eyes that good. But you have to have a certain area that sells fresh produce, a certain area that sells fresh meat, a certain area that sells dairy, and you have to demonstrate that's what you're doing. And if you do that and you demonstrate to the Department of City Planning that that's what you're doing, the Department of City Planning has the authority to grant you additional floor area. It's called a certification from City Planning, and it's filed pursuant to Section 63-30 of the zoning resolution. Then what happens is, if you go, Alonzo, to the one that shows the section of the building, and you click forward to that one, there should be a section somewhere that has, there you go, that one. Well, there's one that's shaded, maybe. Is there one that's shaded? That has floors that are shaded? No, there's just that? All right, well then what happens is the area that's in pink at the top is the area that picks up the additional floor area from the 15,000 square foot fresh. So remember, I said it's a twofer. It's like going to a show, a matinee on Wednesday. They used to have twofers. I don't know if they still have them. I'm going next week. I guess I'll find out. Same thing here. They built the supermarket. That's the green at the ground floor. And because they're doing that, and they took the time to spend 2 years going through the process of doing this and certifying this, then they request the authorization from city planning. So we're here tonight to ask your permission to grant an authorization, or certification, excuse me, from city planning. It's just, you're just giving an advisory opinion. This is not a ULURP application. This is not a Board of Sands and Appeals application. There's nothing certified. There's no public review. It's not going to the city council. This was done as a courtesy at the request of city planning. They asked me to come and present it to you. I would have come anyway because that's what I do. And that's the idea. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything. I could show you the design of the building lines. I want to just stop it on the design because the design happens to be a sharp design. Building is built already. It's almost nearly done. It's been built. If you're wondering how it's been built, they're entitled to build it at this size if they have other uses at the lower levels instead of residential. So at the lower level, they've got that listed as a manufacturing space. They're entitled to have that space. If this application is not approved, that will be utilized and taken advantage of in the manufacturing space. But the idea is to take over most of that space that's designated manufacturing now and turn that into residential if this is approved. And a small portion of it will be maintained as offices to be used by the owners of the building. And they'll be keeping about 5,000 square feet for their own personal offices at the second floor. So thank you very much. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and I appreciate your time.
Okay, let's see if anyone has any questions. Anyone who hasn't asked a question yet to start with? Okay, Quinella.
Hi, what is the manufacturing space? Like, what is going to be there?
In the future, if this is approved, it's just their offices, about 5,000 square feet. That's going to be the offices for the people that are building the building that have the different supermarkets, and they live, like I said, they live in Astoria, and they'll use it as their offices. If the application is not approved, I don't think they have tenancies. There's about 10,000 square feet more on that floor that's not yet built out, that's awaiting this approval, and that's proposed to be residential, but we'll wait to see. Hopefully we get this approval.
Just a question to clarify. The building owner and the supermarket owner are two different entities, correct?
No, I didn't make, I'm sorry, I should have made it. They're but one and the same. The people building the building and the supermarket owner are the same people.
Okay, all right. I think Adam had his hand up, and we'll go to Dom.
I'm a little unclear on what's still kind of able to be switched around here and what's kind of already built, but one thing I'm noting, just talking about, creating extra floor area, potential extra residences, is there's more than double the amount of parking here than there is for actual units, and I'm wondering if there's any possibility of using some of this basement area that's currently 2 stories of parking for the food store as well, and thus making more room for residential on this first floor and creating more housing.
There's no intention to do that. The reason why they provided the additional parking is for the very same reason that I go to the Neptune Diner around the corner. You could park there sometimes. Neptune Diner sometimes. Here in particular, I almost had a heart attack, a conniption. I couldn't get in for a second. The parking they find for the supermarkets are an attribute. They think they'll bring in more people as a result of it, and that's the sole purpose of it. People they find when they go to the supermarket will spend more money when they come with a car of some sort. So that's what they're shooting for.
I'd just like to suggest that this area has a ton of people living in that area who could walk to it.
It's a very good idea, and it's part of the whole national trend right now, which is to turn parking into residential. So thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, Dominic, then Rod.
I guess I just wanted a clarification on the ability to increase by 12, 13,000 should the fresh application be approved. But I think what you're saying is that the existing first floor space is already on some other type of potential bonus that I know Dutch Kills has.
The second floor is, yeah.
Second
well, the first and second floor, actually, yes.
So keeping it simple, let me if it's not approved you're saying you don't have to remove 13,000 square feet, but if it is
No.
approved, you're not going to add 13,000 square feet, so.
The shell of the building, the size, the envelope is allowed to be the way it is right now. Think of it like a file cabinet.
So that means if you get approval, you won't add any more square footage?
Yeah, we're not adding any more no matter what. It's built the way it is right now, and it's allowed to be that way under current zoning. The ask is to change some of the uses within the building
Yeah.
from the manufacturing uses that give them the bonus, because the way the zoning is written, if you have a
Right,
manufacturing
right.
use, you could have more
Right.
floor area. So if they eliminate, they'll
Right.
change that to the supermarket.
Right,
And by doing that, it's just an even swap.
So just to clarify, because I live in this area, and I've filed plans under the new zoning residential, so I know about the bonuses and the mixed use. So there's certain uses, but it's very limited, and basically when the Dutchville zoning
Dutchville
passed
zoning.
in 2008, they encouraged whatever the existing uses were, which were like, not so desirable uses in a residential area.
Oh, I fought
So-
hard on that.
So your question
I was
was,
working on that. as a
Okay,
problem.
let's.
yeah, your
let's get
question
to-
was,
Yeah.
now I understand.
You good, Dom?
Good,
Yeah? Okay, Rod.
My name is Rod Townsend. This is an area that does need grocery stores, so I applaud the effort. I have also seen it with not too long ago, a grocery store fail in that area on 21st Street between 39th Avenue and 40th Avenue. It was run by people who had no business running a grocery store. With that preface, I ask, do these people have experience running grocery stores?
Yes, you might have heard me say it a few moments ago. First of all, they're local business people. Second of all, they own Food for Health in Manhattan, which is at 92nd and 3rd. Matter of Health, which is at 72nd and 3rd in Manhattan. And I said one before, but I'm looking at my notes. They own 2 other supermarkets in Westchester. So they've got experience, and they are dedicated business people of the Astoria type that you probably see every day in the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions this side? No? Okay, Liz? Go back over there.
Can we get a few more microphones in this place? I just wanted to bring up the fact that at the committee meeting, one real issue that came up had to do with what happens if the supermarket vacates and they are still using, and the additional 13,000 square feet are being used for some purpose, whether it is as of right or residential, as of right commercial. What is the process that is followed if they do not get another supermarket in that
They don't
facility?
get another supermarket. They have the right, the Department of Buildings and City Planning have the right to rescind the approval and to vacate or padlock the units in question and invalidate the certificate of occupancy. The applicant can then at that point make a fully public discretionary application to City Planning to ask them for mercy if they've demonstrated that they are having a problem of some sort. I have not yet seen that happen, but it is a possibility, and I think the law was a little short-sighted in that sense in looking towards the future of what could happen, maybe not 5 years down the line, but maybe 10 or 15 years down the line. But that's the way the process plays out now. Yeah, I'm overhearing Jerry. The solution in this case would be they'd lose the ability to have residential and they go back to a manufacturing use. That's under the cockamamie touch kill zone.
Okay, thank you. Richard?
I think that one of the problems with what you're saying is, though, that if you follow that process, I think the chances of you being able to evict the renters that are in that building are negligible. And they shouldn't be evicted. It's not their fault. So I really don't think that's really a viable alternative. It's not going to work in the long run.
I agree with you. I didn't create this. I'm just a player in the middle of it with you.
Okay. Raga?
Just remind me, you mentioned that, is this part of the way done? And if it's already being lived in, are you able to speak to how affordable the housing is in this building?
It's already completed. It is not occupied. It is not C of O'd yet. There's no certificate of occupancy for it yet. There are sales going on for condominiums. I am not privy. I haven't been told what the prices are. There is nothing under any state, city, or federal subsidy program for the development. It was all built using private money, and there was no tax abatement utilized for it. So there is no affordable or MIH housing within it. It's a market rate building.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Before we close the public hearing and get into the business section, I know that Colin from City Planning, I'm going to just add him into the agenda right now. He just kind of wanted to make a very short presentation, not presentation, just
some updates. Yeah, thank you all for accommodating me. Happy birthday, Florence. Nice to see everybody. I just wanted to touch on two things. Firstly, City of Yes for housing opportunity. Just want to share with everybody that's going to be entering public referral in May. I'm prepared and committed to be giving two presentations, one to the Land Use Committee and one to the board. I'm also always present at these board and Land Use Committee meetings, so if there's any follow-up questions, I'll be happy to take them. If I don't know them, I'll be able to come back and answer for you at a later time. And I'll be working with Liz and Jerry to kind of schedule when those are going to be. I also just want to mention that there's going to be an info session tomorrow at 6:30. You can either register online through our website. I can send another link to Florence. And there's also going to be a recording, so you can watch it later on YouTube. We have a lot of resources online outside of that. There's an illustrated guide, which I know the Land Use Committee has already started looking at, which is a much shorter version than our annotated text. So I'd encourage folks who are not as zoning text savvy to look through that. It's a very comprehensible material for all of you to look at. And yeah, I'll pause there first if there's any questions on housing opportunity.
All I know is that Jerry has a big binder.
I know Jerry's got some questions, so if they're about specific policies, we can talk about it in referral, but if it's a bit more higher level, I can try and answer now.
Okay, Ethan, you have a question?
Can you just clarify? So this is separate and apart from the presentation we got a couple of months ago about a different City of Yes.
That's correct. So City of Yes is a three-part proposal. There's carbon neutrality, which came last year around this time, economic opportunity, which was in the fall and winter of last year, and then we're in our last section. So congratulations, everybody. We're almost there.
And just a quick follow-up. And this, so the housing one would involve rezoning areas that are not zoned residential to become residential?
No, so these are proposals that are not affecting, that are not rezoning anywhere currently. These are just creating more tools for us to create a little bit more housing throughout the city. But I will get into the specifics of that in May. I'm sorry to punt the question back a little.
I'm also going to recommend that all board members, if you want to come to the May 8th Land Use Committee meeting, because we're going to be delving into that there, that even if you're not on the committee, you're encouraged to come so you can kind of hear some of the discussions. Jerry, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah,
or make
I just wanted to mention, you know, there's a lot to it, but the elephant in the room, one of them is ancillary dwelling units, where people can convert their garages into an apartment, or their basement or cellar as well. But just thinking about that, what is the other legality to that relative to the building department? Are you dealing with the building department as an agency? And so people look at that law once we start delving into it and say, oh, I can convert my garage, but what are the ramifications? What's the code part of it as opposed to the zoning part of it? So I think it's not fair just to say you could build a 50-story building, and what does it mean to build that 50-story building? So will you, when you start presenting and we have questions, will you have those kind of answers? Are you dealing with buildings now?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, we've been working with DOB on these pretty closely, as there's pretty big implications for how they interpret our zoning codes. And we have an FAQ that we're working through, so I think we'll be prepared to answer some of those questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Will we get the FAQ before the vote? Florence is asking.
This is more of an FAQ that we use to field questions, but we'll have thorough answers to give to everybody when they come up.
Because you know we're going to ask a lot of questions.
Yes, I'm very aware.
Right, thank you. So for our new board members, Colin, again, he's from Department of City Planning. He comes to every Land Use Committee meeting. He's our liaison with the Department of City Planning. Any other quick questions? We're not going to get into City of Yes housing right now, but just general quick questions.
I just had one quick question, sort of based on what Jerry was saying. You also have to deal with Department of Finance, because I know I've looked to expanding a building from 3 to 4 apartments, but the taxes went up so much that it wasn't worth it. So you have to work with DOF just as much as DOB and city planning. So that's another question that'll come up, and it'd be great to have an answer.
Okay, Rod has a question. Everyone's got a lot of questions. That's good.
It's actually a comment.
Okay, comment.
In previous City of Yes presentations, we've been told to watch a video, watch a video, watch a video. I don't want to watch any videos. Please lean in. If you could just take this back to the department, I would like written things or illustrated things that, because I'm a paraprofessional, this isn't what I do for a living, that I don't have to sit and watch a video where I'm held hostage. That way I can go through it and comprehend it and take notes easily, as opposed to watching a video. Thank you.
I would just add, not that we're here to just complain to you, Colin, but on the website and in the printed materials that we did receive, which has the maps of, for example, where the transit, focus might be, where the, low density, where medium density is, you can't see the streets, the street names or anything like that. So it's very hard to know what areas we're really talking about. So it would be great if we could actually get maps that are detailed in that way, so we know what the boundaries are for these different proposals.
Yeah, totally. Just on those 2 points, I'll just mention we do have an illustrated guide for housing opportunity. So that's like a 40-page document. You'll be able to read through it at your own tempo. And when I come to the board to these presentations, we'll have community district specific applicability maps. So I'm not sure if streets will be labeled, but I'll be happy to point them out to my knowledge. I also have one more item I wanted to touch on. If there's any other housing questions, I can take those as well. But.
No, you can go to the next one.
Great. I just wanted to talk about One LIC, which is our neighborhood study we're doing down in Long Island City. It's predominantly in Community District 2, but also has portions in 1. I just want to thank everybody who came out last night. I saw Amy there. I'm sure there's some other folks I just didn't know of. Really appreciate the attendance. We had over 100 people there. I just wanted to note that we have 2 upcoming events, and we have a flyer that we're still working on finishing, so I'll send it out to Florence as well. But just for your awareness, we have one virtual event that's going to be taking place May 16th, and then on the 20th, we'll be hosting an event at MoMA PS1. Both of these are at 6:30.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you say the date for the MoMA?
Yeah, May 20th.
May 20th. Thank you. Great. Okay, all right, so we are closing our public hearing. We're going to move into our business section. Just for the public, so you know, after our business section, we'll hear from any elected officials or representatives, and then there will be the public session where anybody can come to the mic and speak for 2 minutes about anything that they want to say. Okay? So let's get into our business section. The first thing on the agenda for that is the adoption of the March 2024 minutes. I hope people have had a chance to read through the minutes. Thank you. Rod has made a motion to approve the minutes. Tom seconded. Any questions, discussion? We can get right into it. Okay, we'll just do a show of hands. Raise your hand if you agree to approve the minutes. Raise your hand if you're approving the minutes. Great. Okay. Anyone opposed? I don't think anyone's ever been opposed to approving the minutes, but we got to ask. Okay, great. Minutes are approved. Thank you so much. I'm going to give just a quick little report. I want to thank everybody for filling out the board member survey. Everybody responded, which was great. People also made comments and suggestions, which I thought were really helpful. Everything from a countdown clock for public speaking to some other things. So I want to thank people for doing that. I'm working on the committees, and hopefully we'll have those to you all very soon. I was hoping to have them by today. Still having a few more conversations with people as well, just to confirm and firm up different assignments. So again, thank you for doing that. I want to remind everybody that on May 14th, Rod is going to be doing a training. Oh, I didn't know if you were going to give a report, but I'm sorry, then I won't say any more. I'm not going to tell you what Rod's going to be talking about on May 14th. We're going to save that for his report. The other thing is, many people have requested a way to have other board members' contact information. So we are going to do an opt-in. If you want to opt in, we'll have a contact sheet. And that is really just for, it's not for doing board business. So I want to be clear. We have to abide by open meetings law, which means we don't conduct meetings like through email, right? And discussions through email. But for example, if you have an event at your organization and you would like to invite someone, we really can't ask the board office to send that out, okay? But what you can do is you can email other board members. So if you have the board, you can email other board members directly to invite them to events. Okay. Okay, so I would like you all to just, you're going to get the form, take a look at that. You do not have to opt in if you don't want. This is totally optional. Again, this has come out of many, many people requesting this. We're asking people to abide by the guidelines, that your any info that you have is not shared with anyone outside the board. Board members aren't to use any contact information inappropriately. In other words, to sign people up for newsletters, lists, send excessive emails, political lobbying, etc. Board business must still be conducted in accordance with open meetings law. Committee chairs and board members cannot use email for decision-making, votes, formal discussions on substantive matters before the board, okay? And if you are going to have any board business, you copy the board office on that. So if you want to do this, you just check off that you consent. You can consent to just your committee chairs that, on whose committees you're going to be sitting, gets your information, or the full board, sign it and date it. Again, completely optional, but this has come up for many people requesting this, okay? Alrighty, so I think that is it for me. I go to the district manager's report.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to correct what the chair said. If you are having events, you cannot email events to each other. We have the conflict of interest law, which was presented last night at the district head from the Queensborough President's office. We have the gentleman each and every September that comes to our meeting to do the conflict of interest. So if I were having an organization that I were the head of and I was having a special event to honor me, I could not send you an email inviting you to that special event. That is a conflict of interest. To play it safe, because you can be fined, some fines start at $1,000. You are personally responsible for those fines. So better safe than sorry. Always go through the board office. We call the conflict of interest board, and if they tell me no, the items don't go out. If they tell me yes, the items go out. Better not to invite people to things because other people will see it, and eventually it will get out, and fines occur regularly within the city of New York.
Okay, Florence, if you can give your report, and actually
I am protecting our board members. Nobody wants a $1,000 fine. Thank you, Evie.
I checked with Conflict of Interest Board, and I actually have written confirmation that board members can email each other directly to invite them to events. So anyway, but feel comfortable, CC the board office if you'd like. But that I have that in writing from the Conflict of Interest Board. Thank you. You can give your report.
I have no report. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome new board members. We're going to have a problem.
Okay, we're going to keep going. Next, we have committee reports. We have, let's start with Airport Committee. Thank you. Consumer Affairs.
All right. Does this one work? Ooh, that's a little too loud. I apologize. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to all the new board members. My name is Dino Panagoulias. I am the chair of the Consumer Affairs Committee. And if you can look within your packet, Florence has
has compiled all of the licenses that are in front of us. There are 28 licenses that are up for renewal. There is no issues that were brought to our attention by
Sorry, Dino.
No worries. All right. There are 28 businesses that are in front of you that are either have signed stipulations. There are no concerns that were brought to our attention or to Florence's attention by NYPD. And so I'd like to make a motion or bring forth a motion to approve the 28 that are in front of you.
Does anyone want to make a motion? Okay. Anyone want a second? Okay. Now we can have any discussion or questions before we vote. Anyone have any questions? Tom?
I'd like to know why we never have a community board meeting during these matters.
We will be. We will be starting to have consumer affair committee meetings. Absolutely.
Through the chair, to clarify, the police sent an NYPD report, and the NYPD said there was no need for action on these items, just so you're familiar with that.
That's fine. We're
Thank
still going to
you.
have committee meetings. Okay, like we should. All right. Other questions about any of the places of business that you see? Anything? Yes, Brian.
There's two applications here that have stipulations. I was just wondering what the stipulations were.
Sure. Dino, can you explain that? Do you have any particular places in mind, or you just in general?
There's the two that say yes, which is Whitmore's Diner and
Yeah, so there's typically like a form letter, and just to take a step back, and so in the past, there may have been difficulties in getting businesses to kind of be good neighbors, and so we created kind of a standard stipulations list. And so typically when we had these businesses sign them, they would come in with their lawyers, they would come in with their representatives, we would discuss what the issues of concern were, and then at the end of the day, they would be given these lists of stipulations that basically say, you're going to abide by X, Y, and Z, right? Typically, it is that you're not going to have any third-party promoters, typical for kind of the nightclub situations. There will be an adequate amount of security. There will be a whole host of things that they then agree to. That stipulation, which is then signed and also notarized, is attached to their application, which is then sent to the state liquor authority to kind of renew their licenses. And so as time has progressed, there has not really been a need to bring in these businesses. It becomes more of a regular course of action when they know that they are in front of the community board for a vote. They will sign those stipulations. We've almost never gotten any sort of negative feedback that we used to get where there was this back and forth. It would just be signed, and then the applications would be brought forth to the committee, and then ultimately to the board for that vote to say, hey, the board is bringing forth the recommendation to approve these businesses for the renewal or the actual application of the liquor license. And hopefully that helps kind of clarify things for all of our brand new members too.
I'm familiar with what the stipulations are. I was curious to what the exact stipulations were. For
Yeah, so we can actually circulate like a template of what those stipulations are. I can certainly ask Florence to send it over to all board members, so that way we are all familiar with the stipulations that are signed. But again, it is one form aspect. Everyone signs the
Generic.
same.
Okay.
Yep.
I was just concerned because only two places on here
Yep.
have stipulations versus
Mhm.
everybody else that doesn't.
Yep.
Okay.
Dominic?
Dino, maybe we can simply add a column to the right of this Excel spreadsheet which defines the stipulations. I think that would be a good add. Since, no? A summary of them?
So they're all the same. I think what would be the better thing is if there are differences or if there is a change to a specific stipulation that is not the standard kind of template, then yes, absolutely. We can add that and say, hey, there was an addendum to the existing stipulations. I think that's a great idea.
Rod?
That was a good explanation of stipulations. Actually, for the new board members, I think it might be useful or instructive to say, explain what we're voting on.
Yep.
Or what we're approving.
Sure. So every single kind of renewal period that comes forth from the business and the application specifically to go to the state liquor authority so they can actually renew their state liquor issued license. And so typically one of the things that we look at specifically as a board and as a committee is for these businesses to be good neighbors, right? And oftentimes you will hear me especially during the summer months as the weather is getting better or warmer, we would also encourage if there are issues that our businesses are not being good neighbors, let the board office know. Call Florence. Let 311 know, right? Put in those particular complaints. Those complaints are answered by our NYPD partners, and so typically when we see an influx, NYPD will notify us and say, hey, there is a concern specific to this particular business. Can we bring that business owner in? And so that's typically when we will have those committee meetings and actually sit down with not only the business owner, potentially the security, the manager of that building, of that business, and also their representation, whether they bring in a lawyer or whomever. Once there is a vote put forth to approve that particular application, it is then sent in a packet by Florence to the State Liquor Authority, which then says the community board has voted in unison to approve this particular application. There is no concern as being a good neighbor to the community, so the recommendation of the community board is to bring forth and have the State Liquor Authority approve that particular license.
Any other questions? Yes, Katie.
It's a general question for whenever meetings reconvene, and it has to do with the smoke shop. So I won't ask it now, but it just has to do with trying to understand, the illegal ones versus the legal ones and the marketing and how that works, because they seem to be really marketing toward children. And the legal spots are completely, they're fine. You walk by, you're not bombarded with images that are cartoon-like and fun. So I don't want to belabor that now, but that's something that's been coming up a lot for me personally and with other families.
It doesn't fall under the purview, or at least I don't think it does right now, under the Consumer Affairs Committee. It falls under the Executive Board, and so that's typically like when all of those votes are coming in. There are not many legal shops, right? Most of them are, in fact, illegal. And so I think we've discussed this multiple times that, there's going to be more enforcement, hopefully, because I live in Dutch Kills, right? And we're seeing that kind of
Okay,
pop up.
let's stick to this, but just so cannabis is probably going to fall under Consumer Affairs. Right now, the Executive Board has been reviewing it. So one of the things that, like I said, I'm doing is looking at committees, reorganizing committees, see what's active, see what's not active, because we do get the applications, from OCM. We have 3 licensed, dispensaries, facilities here in Astoria. All the other ones right now are unlicensed. Yeah. Okay, so, and that is an issue which we will be discussing more and more. So thank you for that question. Okay, back to this.
Call the question.
So, you ready?
I
Okay.
think everyone is.
All right. So
All right.
if you are in favor of.
I'd like to make a motion to approve all 28 businesses that are in front of you on that list.
I think we had the motion and the second, right? We already had that already. So now we're just going to vote.
Call the vote.
Did we not? I thought we did have a motion.
Please.
Yeah. No, but we had the motion and the second.
Reiterating.
Yeah. Okay. So raise your hand. All in favor? Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay. Who remembers who made the motion? Frank? Yep. Okay. Was Stella.
Okay. There we go. Beautiful.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Next up, we have Education, Youth, and Libraries. Diana is not here. She's in D.C. Let's see. Environmental Sanitation. Antonella, do you have a report?
No, I don't have a report tonight, but I had a question. I see the community affairs officers are here tonight, and I didn't know when to ask the questions, but could we get a state of affairs with respect to our area in terms of crime stats and that sort of stuff? I don't know how we would fit that in. Just a comment.
That's perfect for our Public Safety Committee, and they can report out to the board. So we can look at something. Okay. But thanks, Antonella. Where are our community affairs officers? There we go. Sorry. You want to just, since you were brought up, you want to quickly introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, my name is Officer Gabrada.
Just go to the mic and introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, everybody. My name is Officer Gabe Tovar, Community Affairs. This is my partner, Dalia Zapparata. And I didn't bring any of the crime stats. I didn't know you guys were going to ask for the crime stats. We're going to actually have a meeting, community council meeting. And it's going to be actually in this room next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And the commander will be there, and he'll be able to give you all the crime stats and tons of questions, whatever you want.
Okay, there might be interest to also have you speak with the Public Safety Committee at some point as well. That would be great to get to know them so they can also get to know you.
Anytime.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any questions other than crime stats that I need to answer, or you'd like me to answer? Yes. Okay, great.
Thank you so much. Health and Human Services.
What's that?
Thank you. Housing?
At our last meeting, we had representatives to go from HPD to go over Housing Connect, which is the housing lottery for renters. And something that came up in our Land Use and Zoning Committee meeting in the winter, the end of winter, had to do with affordable home ownership. So it's our hope with Florence's assistance that we'll be able to have reps from HPD to come to talk about the city's history of affordable home ownership in the form of co-ops or condos to educate us, because there's a potential site where Ricardo's used to be where they're looking to have an affordable housing lottery for people to own a co-op, which we all know how expensive that is. And just in general, we'd like to educate all members of the board and any members of the public on that option. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Next up is land use.
So which, okay, item number 1. Item number 1 is we'll need a motion from the floor to begin discussion on 27, sorry, that's number 2, I'm sorry. 3875 11th Street, the BSA permit 2022-07 BZY, which is up, the request is to extend the permit for 2 years.
So moved.
Okay, so Rod motioned and Jean Marie seconded.
I didn't get it. Okay.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Is there any questions about this? You received the report. During the committee review, the only thing that we had, there were no objections at all raised during the course of the report, during the discussion.
Ethan, did you have a question, comment?
I wanted to ask the zoning committee. So it says here that it's zoned M1/R5. The representative mentioned that it was in a manufacturing-only district. I wanted to know what that R5 means and whether it's true that, in fact, if this development didn't go up, it could not be residential. Can you explain?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to answer that question. So this is in the Dutch Kills Special District. It was created a bunch of years ago, and with that special district, if you have certain uses, I think one of them is photographic studio, another is like any manufacturing, like even auto repair, you get a bonus. You get an extra 1 FAR. So that's why the applicant said, what's being built is already as a right, as long as, wait a second, let me finish. I know what you're asking. So it's R5 and M1. So you're allowed to have residential and you're allowed to have the manufacturing. It's the Dutch Kills Special District. So the residential that's proposed is already allowed, but he wants to change the manufacturing to, which was a bonus if you use those special uses that are allowed in the text. He doesn't want to use those.
Jerry, I'm talking about the first one.
We're talking about the first.
The hotel.
Oh, the hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, the hotel is,
It says on
yeah,
here,
that's,
it says one.
I'm
it says
sorry, I
M1/R5
apologize.
on the
So,
hotel.
so that is it's an M1 zone. It's a hotel.
Why does it say M1/R5 then?
I think you're mixing them up. It's
No,
not.
it's in it right here.
You're talking about the hotel on 12th Street.
Yeah, it's the hotel. It says M1/R5.
11th Street. Where's it say?
Okay, that was, that's possible.
Right there.
Yeah, take a look.
So in the M1, you have a choice. Either you could do the M1, you could do the R5, or you could do both. And they decided to go to the Board of Standards, to go to the building department, and with M1, and get a hotel approved.
So my question is, if this were not a hotel, the R5 means it could be residential on that same plot.
But it would be much overbuilt.
What does that mean?
I think that this report is wrong. So it's an M1-3, it's 5 FAR, whatever this report is wrong.
So, okay, so the report is wrong. There is no residential option on this plot.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that. Any other questions or comments from the board
Clarified, well, I already clarified.
about this? Okay, I just want to make sure, because I forgot to do this, and I apologize, during the public hearing, is there anyone in the public who wanted to speak for or against? I'm going to have it happen now, so please go up to the mic. Sorry, I forgot to do that. My apologies. Want to just give the public an opportunity. So if you just, yes. Richard, before we hear from the member of the public, go ahead.
I just wanted to make the comment that there is always the option to have a stipulation that we strongly urge that this is not converted into housing for migrants. That can't, we as a community board have the ability to do that. And while it's, it's not something that has, it can't stop it, but it's a way for us to let our feelings be known.
Okay, let's hear from the member of the public. If you could state your name, please. And you have 2 minutes, and Tyrone over here will let you know when time is up, okay? If you don't need the 2 minutes, that's fine too.
I'm Gloria Maloney with the Dutch Kills Civic Association. I don't see Mr. Platnick here. I guess he left. I can understand the position that he's in, but as the people at the board mentioned, we are inundated with hotels. Outside of Manhattan, we have the most hotels in any borough. And if you can count on one hand how many of them are actually serving tourists and guests. The rest all converted to migrant shelters. Now, if he's going to build another hotel, and I know Yotel, I mean, it's a chain, I understand it. How long will it stay Yotel? Will it stay Yotel? Will it convert before it's even opened? We've had hotels that didn't even open their doors, and the day they opened their doors, they had migrants in them. So I'm really opposed to any more hotels in our area at all. If you looked at the picture he showed, all those new buildings around that piece of land are hotels. So, I mean, if you have a homeless shelter for families, something like that, that's one thing. But we don't even have that anymore. All we have are migrants. And we don't have the police to police all these migrants, and we don't have the facilities to handle all these migrants. The schools are inundated with these families. That's my first one. The second one, I live very close to where they want to put the supermarket. I don't have a problem with the supermarket. Supermarkets are good. I don't think I could afford to shop in that supermarket because the apartments in that building are going for upwards of $750,000 for the smallest apartments. The majority of them are over $1 million. So it's not like a crap piece of property. It's going to be high-end apartments unless that folds. And the supermarket, if they have parking spaces for the shoppers, excellent.
Thank you for your opinion. Thank you for sharing. Okay. All right. Any other, Rod, go ahead before we.
It's a question for the land use chairs. I don't know that we've seen a situation like this before, so I'm wondering if you can inform on history when we have renewed a BSA after a building has been left as a blight on the community for 4 years. You know, I feel sorry that rich people couldn't get richer for a period of time, but at the same time, they've created a situation where our colleague let us know that they have not been taking care of the property and it's just become a blight on the community. So I don't know why we want to reward someone who has not expressed any interest in benefiting the community. Just some history would be useful, please.
Jerry or Liz, have we had a situation like this?
I can't state exactly which applications were done, but over the past 40 years, I can guarantee we had numerous applications where we had to extend the term of the variance in order to give them more time to complete. It's been, I would say, at least 5 more, 10 times.
Okay, please, if you want to speak, just raise your hand.
I would just like to add that when we get applications like this, there is a focus that we have to make, and that on the findings that the Board of Standards and Appeals has to make its decision by. And that has to do with the financing, and it has to do with, it has nothing to do with the impact that this particular building has had in the community. But with respect to the way we look at it and we vote, we can take this into consideration because this is who we're representing. We are representing businesses in the community, but this is important for us. And especially the Dutch Kills area that is having the impact here by hotels. So, you know, Richard had mentioned something about, you know, you didn't, what did you talk about? Not using, you know, not being able to convert. I don't know how much power we have over something like that. But the other issue, you know, we can talk about in the letter that we sent to Board of Standards and Appeals, the issues that the community has been dealing with. So, but be advised that the BSA has specific findings it has to make. And it doesn't have to do with impact on community. That has to do when they're doing zoning variances. That's when that comes into play. but this is very, very specific. So we will write the letter reflecting what happened here tonight and the opinions of the board members and the community in this letter.
Does anyone else want to make a comment about what we've been discussing? Thomas?
Thank you. I would like to urge my fellow board members to think about two things. One, I think it's important that we acknowledge that COVID changed the landscape for the need of hotels. The hotels in Dutch Kills, where I live, in Long Island City, a huge concentration, would not have had anyone had we not had these migrant families that were using the hotels to be housed and allowing the hotels to benefit through the city funds for these housing. I would like us to be careful not to say migrants are damaging our community and these things that are very negative, as they're now our neighbors. That's my personal feeling, and I would just urge us to be mindful in using the term migrant in a negative way. The second thing is, because the hotels have changed, I think that we are going to be complicit in really a fraud against our community that should be illegal. Building half a building, leaving it vacant, having so many violations, and then coming to us and saying, we're working on securing financing, then there not being any financing. Having contracts with the hotel, a huge conglomerate, and then saying we can't find the money. The issue is, I believe, that the landscape of this investment has changed due to COVID. They've chosen not to build this, and they were looking to sell the property or to move it into a different form of investment. That being so, they've come to us. They've given us no evidence that they are working to secure financing. We have no documents showing that they indeed do have an investor, quote unquote, that was said that they did state they had, then they said they do not have. So I would just like to be mindful in the fact that it should be something that is not rewarded to come into our community and build half a building and leave it there as a waste, and then come to us, ask for additional favor of giving them additional time to do whatever they're going to do for this property that is not being appropriately used. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, to be mindful of how we're speaking about people as well, and just recognize that everybody's under a lot of stress. Our community is under stress as well. Thank you. Okay, anything to add to the discussion? Yes, Corinne.
I just wanted to say that I concur with what you said, and for the community that is closest to this development, it's not an issue of who houses it, it's an issue of the intended purpose of the development, because I would much rather see it be residential property to house these families and not just hold them temporarily and incorporate them into our community, because they are part of our community, and that's how we treat them. They are part of our community, but they need permanent placement. That's not what the purpose of this building is for, and I just thank you for hearing the insight and seeing what we physically experience. Them just abandoning it and then coming to us to ask for an extension to do we don't know what.
Thank you. Okay, Andreas.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a comment and a little bit of a reiteration as to what Liz and Jerry were saying, and just kind of phrased in different words to just offer like a different perspective. And if anything, I say is incorrect or inaccurate, if you two would step in. But the way that I understand this, and I think this part hasn't been emphasized, is, the reason why it appears as proposals in front of us is because, at the end of the previous administration's, mayoral administration's term, there was, a general ban on hotels in New York City, but there was, a limbo of hotels already in the process of being built, and in my understanding, this hotel was already being built, and was allowed to be built during that time when the general hotel moratorium was put into place. And I think as part of that law, there was the idea that you had to wrap up, build your hotel in X amount of years after that law passed. Otherwise, you would run into issues with permitting. I think that's the position that these individuals are in right now, where, because of that law, they were going to build this, they intended to build it, I assume in a timeline, but then COVID happened, and, simply because of that moratorium law, this thing was already approved, not this before my time on the board, but, perhaps concerns were raised at that time. So, I believe that's all correct, right? So really, what's in front of the BSA right now appears to be, like, this is essentially all they can build right now with the zoning. So what it looks like to me is, I understand the concerns. I looked it up on Google Maps. There are a lot of hotels around here. But I think just something worth mentioning is it appears that, if we were to, turn this around, ideally make into housing, which certainly seems like a desirable outcome, I think something that has to be weighed at the same time is that because it's not zoned for housing, it's not possible to do that right now. They're saying essentially someone else might have to buy the property or, go through a whole ULURP process, go to city planning, work out these things, and it could take years. So,
Okay.
It's empty and just something to consider right now.
Okay, thank you. Can we take a vote? Yeah, we good? Okay, it's called a question. Yes.
No. Yeah, I think that I'd like to first vote on a stipulation if possible, that, while the board approves the extension, they are against any conversions of this property from a use other than a hotel.
Rod, is that permissible? Don't we just vote on the motion?
Well, you have to, you have to, you have opportunities to put stipulations in. You vote on that, and then you vote on the motion.
It's a friendly amendment to the
The
motion.
amendment.
Okay. I'm asking my parliamentarian.
Did he say okay?
He's thinking.
Yes, it was called a question, yes. Jean Marie seconded. Into the mic, please. Say it into the mic.
Because the question has been called, that needs to be addressed. So we want to do a quick, the chair will ask if everyone is in favor of voting on this as is. And if the majority says yes, then we will move into a vote. If it's no, then discussion will continue. That's it.
Can we just do a raise of hands for that? Yes. Okay, all right. So if you want to move forward as is with the motion that was on the floor, please raise your hand.
Just withdraw the motion.
The motion was to approve the extension.
No, you can still vote no.
Yes. Yes. It's, go ahead.
Sure. So you can, what we're saying is, do you want to vote on this right now? And you can vote yes, you approve this, or no, you do not approve that, without further discussion.
They're asking, what are they approving?
Permit 2022-07BZY.
Okay. So just to be clear, we're not voting on the motion that was put forward. We're voting on whether we want to go forward and vote on that.
If you think we're done talking about this, you say yes, and
Okay.
you can then vote yes or no on the permit. If you want to talk more about it, then you say no.
Okay.
Cool?
All right. Got it. So, if you're gonna want to just go forward and vote on things as is, we will raise your hand, and then we'll take a roll. If that carries, we take a roll call vote. If that gets voted down, then we are going to move to the next thing, okay? Which could be whatever it is that someone wants to do. Okay.
And if someone wants to, if it is approved and someone wants to add stipulations to it at that time, that's another matter of business that can be brought forward.
Okay, so show of hands if you would like to proceed with the vote. Okay, are we doing, who's doing a count?
Most of them.
This is yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, no, raise your hand. Anyone abstaining? Okay. All right, so now, Rod, just to make sure.
Whether to approve this or to disapprove it.
Okay. So the motion was to approve the extension for this. 2-year extension, okay? So we're going to do a roll call vote on that.
Isn't that, you need a motion for that?
We had the motion from before. So we're going back to that. That was the initial motion that was made and seconded. Okay? Yes? Yes? Okay.
There's no George Alexia tonight.
40 years.
Daniel Aliberti? Yes. Christian Batras? Ann Bruno?
Just before we continue, there was a clarification. The motion is to approve the 2-year extension.
Correct.
Okay, so if you want to approve it, you vote yes. If you do not want to approve it, you vote no. Got it? Okay.
All right, back to the list. I'm now on Jerry Caliendo.
Yes.
Jean Marie De Leyva?
No.
Antonella Desaverio? No. Katie Elman? No. Liz Arion?
No.
Dean Faratovic? No. Adam Fisher Cox?
No.
Frank Fredericks?
No.
Tyrone Gardner?
No.
Shahanas Hamdi?
No.
Amy Housen, no. Brian Hunt? No. Jacqueline Ibarra? No. I'm sorry?
No.
Thank you. Vanessa Jones Hall?
No. Just voted down.
Rich Kasami?
Stipulation.
Christina Laster's not here, right? Christina? Okay. Ethan Lowen?
He's already voted it down.
Thank you. Raga Medella? Nas is not? Okay. Patricia Mahecha? Sorry for mispronouncing. Jeff Martin's not here, right? Brian Martinez?
If they would have voted yes. with the
Amin Mahedi?
No.
board hears,
Andreas Migias?
we don't want homeless.
No.
Stella Nicolau? No. Dino Panagulias?
No.
Juliet Payaba? Oh, no. Rosemary Poveromo?
No.
Thomas Ryan? No Marisela? She's here. Oh, she is. Marisela? No. That's a no. Thank you. Sorry. Didn't see you. Dominic Stiller?
No.
Marie Tornielli?
No.
Rod Townsend?
No.
Judy Chilivas?
No.
Mario Vergara?
No.
Kathleen is not here. Quinella Williams? No. Corinne Wood Haynes?
No.
Thomas Wright?
No.
Rosemary Yelton, and Evie Hansopoulos. Rosemary Yelton's here? No. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Amy has the total in a second. We'll just give the final tally.
I left my phone at home. What is it? I go to sleep at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, say 2 in favor, 37 opposed. Thank you. So Rod, just to clarify, if it's not called to question, then you can continue with any kind of, he's gonna be doing a training for us on this, so everybody knows, right? Okay.
yeah, the matter is closed. When you call the question, you're kind of saying, I've heard enough. Like, I get it. You guys are just repeating yourselves. Sorry, I could voice that more professionally. But when you call the question, you're saying, I've heard enough, and I think everyone's heard enough. And that you don't think there's more to learn about a subject. And you do that with some confidence. And I don't think, based on that vote, I don't think any stipulations would have saved that project, just as a personal opinion. So you are now moving on to your next item, and if you want anything else discussed, then you can bring it up after your second agenda item.
Quick point of order here. I think, I don't know if we can save it right now.
I got a call on you.
It's directly relevant to that, though.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay,
but
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
I feel like we just conflated calling the question with having a motion on the floor. I don't believe that question was called. I believe we had a motion on the floor. I don't know if we can undo and fix this, but I just want to clarify the difference there and understand, because I believe the intention of the board generally here is to pass something with that stipulation in it.
So a motion gets made, it gets seconded, there's discussion. If someone calls to question and it's seconded, it's closed and you vote. Correct, right? Yeah.
Who said you can't amend it? Who said you can't?
Okay, last comment, Richard, and then we're moving on. Go ahead. Because we got a few more things to vote on.
You could always amend the motion.
I'd like to call a motion that we approve the extension
With the consent of who made
and
it?
the stipulation that in fact we stipulate that it should never be converted into a shelter.
But we just voted on that item.
Usually that vote is done.
You're not disagreeing with, you're actually not disagreeing. Yeah, and I said that you could do that if you were paying attention. I said that you could revisit it and you could propose a motion that was different with the stipulations. It doesn't mean that you can revisit it. Well, I am a person who likes to go by an agenda, which has been printed and is, public, and that's what is expected to move on. And if you wanted to bring up more new business, you can do so.
Okay, so we'll do it under new business if there's a desire. You want to do it now? All right, Richard, you want to make the motion? Go ahead. Let's get it out of the way.
Converted to a shelter.
Okay, so Richard motion, Christian seconds.
Okay, so now you're having discussion about Richard's motion.
Okay, discussion on Richard's motion. Any discussion? Quick questions, okay? So Jacqueline, question or comment? Go ahead.
With all due respect, I don't think that stipulation holds water. I don't think that is something that can be asked of the business. If you recall, during COVID, the emergency management agency, as well as the mayoral office and other agencies, did put out, I think, an executive order to temporarily convert hotels for-profit hotels for emergency shelter conditions. So I don't think the stipulation will hold water in the long run, and I don't think it will have a positive effect either way for this motion.
Thank you. Marie?
I wholeheartedly agree with that. We have had stipulations before, and how many of them have been even looked at or listened to?
Okay, other comment, question? Frank?
I assume this is a doomed prospect anyway, so I'm happy to see this fail again. But let's say it were to succeed. I think the fact that the stipulation wouldn't be maintained is not the main reason to vote against it. I think we should vote against it because it's a terrible stipulation that's not on average, good for our community, I would say. That would be my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dom?
So they're putting this application in on zoning code 11-332, which someone mentioned, I think it was Jerry earlier. And the reason I'll still vote no is because the consideration number 3 by the agency is that there are no considerations of public safety, health, and welfare that have become apparent since the issuance of the permit that indicate an overriding benefit to the public in enforcement of the applicable amendment to the resolution. So because I think that's accurate and there have been many violations and other negative impacts on the community, I'll still be voting no.
Anyone else? Raise your hand. Tom, calling to question. Anyone want a second? Okay, Marie. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a vote. So the motion was by Richard, seconded by Christian, was to approve the application with a stipulation that it would never be converted to a shelter. Did I get that right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So we're going to do a roll call vote. If you support that motion with the stipulation, you will vote yes. If you are opposed to it, you will vote no.
Here we go again, folks. Daniel Aliberti.
Yes.
Christian Batras. Jerry Caliendo.
Yes.
Jean Marie DeLeva.
No.
Antonella De Severio. Katie Elman. Oh, sorry. Elizabeth Arion.
No.
Dean Veritovic. No. Adam Fisher Cox.
No.
Frank Fredericks.
No.
Tyrone Gardner.
No.
Shahanas Hamdi.
No.
Amy Hauser, no. Bryant Hunt.
No.
Jacqueline Ibarra.
No.
Vanessa Jones Hall.
No.
Richard Kusami. Yes.
No, yes. What was supposed to be yes, I'm sorry.
Ethan Lowens. Sorry, Ethan Lowens.
No.
Thank you. Raga Madella.
No.
Nas. Is Nas here? Oh, Nas?
No.
Thank you. Patricia? No. Brian Martinez? No. Amin Mahani?
No.
Andreas?
Yes.
Andreas is a yes. Stella Nicolau? Yes. Dino Panagoulias?
No.
Juliet Payab?
No.
Payab, sorry. Rosemary Poveromo? Thomas Ryan? Maricela Santos? Dominic Stiller?
No.
Marie Tarnielli?
No.
Rod Townsend?
No.
Judy Trilivas?
They left.
Mario Vergara?
No.
Quinella Williams?
No.
Corinne Wood Haynes?
No.
Thomas Wright?
No.
Rosemary Yelton?
Not here.
Evie Hansopoulos? Thank you.
Okay, Amy is tallying. Thank you, everybody. Okay, 5 in favor, 32 opposed. Thank you. The motion does not pass. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item. I want everyone to be mindful of the time. So if you have any questions or comments as we're discussing, please keep them brief and to the point. Okay, that is, we are voting on the 2709 40th Avenue Fresh certification. That is for the supermarket. So, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
Amin made a motion to approve. Second
Second.
is Brian. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. We're ready to vote? Okay, Thomas calling the question, second? Okay, that's Dino. Okay, great. So we're going to go ahead and do a vote on the fresh application.
Danielle Aliberti.
Yes.
Christian.
Yes.
And Bruno's not here, right? Jerry Caliendo.
Yes.
G. Marie DeLeva. Yes. Antonella De Severio.
Yes.
Katie Elman. What's left? Elizabeth Arion.
Yes.
Dean Feratovic.
Yes.
Adam Fisher Cox.
Yes.
Frank Fredericks.
Yes.
Tyrone Gardner. Shahanas Hamdi.
Yes.
Amy Hauser, yes. Bryant Hunt.
Yes.
Jacqueline Navarro.
Yes.
Vanessa Jones Hall. Richard Kasami.
Yes.
Ethan Lowens.
Yes.
Raga Medella.
Yes.
Nas.
Yes.
Patricia.
Yes.
Brian Martinez. Amin.
Yes.
Andreas.
Yes.
Stella. Dino. Juliet. Rosemary. She left. Thomas Ryan. Maricela Santos. Dominic.
Yes.
Marie Tornielli. Rod Townsend.
Yes.
Judy Trillivas. Thank you. Mario Vergara. Cornella Williams. Corinne Wood Haynes. Thomas Wright.
Yes.
Evie Hansopoulos.
Okay, Amy is tabulating. "36 in favor and no one opposed." Okay, so that carries. To the, oh, I'm sorry.
The vote just before this, with everybody here, 32 and 5, 37, and now we only have 36. Yeah, but that was before, that was just, but it doesn't matter.
No one's saying no. Right? Correct.
Was there anyone opposed? No. Okay.
Do you want me to do that?
There was no one who voted no. You want to just count them up again? Amy will just recount. Maybe she miscounted. Okay, regarding the ADA letter of support, Liz, did they ever present to land use?
Which letter of support are you talking about?
For the ADA, for the Public Design Commission, for the police precinct?
No.
They never did, so it wasn't a land use committee item.
No, it wasn't a land use committee. There was no, they presented to us. There were no zoning issues that we had to talk about. There were no land use issues. They are simply meeting ADA requirements to make their, improve their building. It's building code.
Okay.
So the point was to inform the board. And I will say that the Public Design Commission does like to get a letter from the community when they're working on something, okay? So that's why they're asking for this.
Okay. So yes, Jerry, go ahead. Do you want to?
I would suggest that if we are going to write any letter of recommendation, that we clearly state that we have not fully reviewed that design for any ADA or any other code compliance. We're in favor, I would suggest, that we're in favor of the precinct making their access handicap accessible. But clearly stated, we didn't review specifically the plans.
The design,
Right.
yeah.
So could you make that
So I don't wanna
motion?
be- I
Yeah.
don't want the board to be held liable if later on the Department of Justice comes by and says, this thing doesn't comply.
Okay. So would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. Great. So Jerry has motioned to send a letter of support with the caveat that we have not been given the full designs to review for code and things like that.
Second.
Second, that was that Amin? Okay. Any questions, discussion? Question, Danny?
I'm in favor of them making it ADA accessible, but I had quite a few more questions about, in their methods of making it accessible, in particular the ramp versus the lift versus the stair climber or whatever they're using. Quite a few questions. And they weren't, it wasn't discussed. Right, we didn't have the plans, and he said we're only talking about one part of the plans. He said we're not going to be talking about the inside of the building, and then he proceeded to talk about the inside of the building. So I agree with what Jerry said.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Brian?
On the letter, if it's possible to address the concerns that were brought up earlier with the parking and the accessibility on the actual street getting to the building.
I think that is a separate issue, but I think what we can do is try and schedule a conversation between the 114th and our Public Safety Committee about that very issue. So, yeah. Okay, if it's really important.
Well, I think it is.
Okay.
I always think it is. I don't think we should say what you just dictated, which was, we didn't receive the full plans. I don't think it's our land use committee's obligation to review the full plans. So I think we should just say, we're not reviewing the full plans and not make a soft excuse that we haven't received them. I don't think you need to give an excuse for why Jerry and Liz and company haven't reviewed them. They're not going to review them as a plan examiner would. So I think you should just remove haven't received from what you dictated.
Okay. All right.
You want to read it again?
No. So what you're saying is you'd like to remove that.
No,
you'd like to amend it.
Just the small word of what you dictated.
Yes.
Which was that the reason we haven't reviewed it is because we didn't receive them. And I'm saying the reason we didn't review them is we're not supposed
So
to.
you'd like to amend the motion to take that out? Correct.
Actually, I'd like to request you to read it again.
Okay. So what I said was there was a motion to send a letter of support, right, to the Public Design Commission regarding the plans for the ADA, except the ADA plans, with Jerry had asked that we include that we were not given the plans to review. We have not reviewed the plans for compliance or code or anything like that. So that's what he wanted in there. We can craft the letter, Yeah. The letter isn't written yet, but. So are you okay with that, or do you want to amend it?
Sure. I thought you were, crafting it 100% there with your comments.
No.
Sorry.
Any other, the letter's not written yet, so, yeah. Any other comments?
Call the question.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Marie seconds that. Okay, great. Let's do this is just a show of hands. It's not a, yeah, if you are, why don't we do it this way? All those who are opposed, raise your hand. Start with that. It's the end of the night, so we're going to just, change things up. Okay, one opposed. All in favor? Okay, anyone abstaining? One person is abstaining. For cause, you should be abstaining for cause. Okay, when you do abstain, it is a no, just so you know. It gets counted as a no. Yep. I mean, you can. You really generally shouldn't, and this will be explained when we do our training with, it was actually at the meeting last night, but generally, if you do, it counts as a no, just so people know. Okay? All right, we good? Okay, so moving on, we do not have, okay, Rod, real quick.
There will be a training on May 14th, and I just want to apologize. I was a little flipped in one of my answers earlier. I apologize. I do respect those questions. I do understand that parliamentary procedure can be confusing, but I believe after this training, it will be very helpful to everybody, and I'm very thankful to Chair and our district manager for forwarding me information in advance of that so that I could prepare as best as possible in the training that this board deserves. Thank you.
Yeah, people put good questions on their survey. If you continue to have questions after tonight, just send us an email, okay, that you would like Rod to cover in the training. Okay, parks, not here. Public safety, not here. Transportation.
Okay.
I will not be voting on this. I have a conflict.
Thank you. Councilor Ventures, yes, you were at the training last night too. We'll get to the item.
Nice one. Newbie. So we had a Transportation Committee meeting on the 11th of April, and I'm going to mention 4 topics, of which I believe we're voting on the last 2. So I'll mention the first 2 that we're not voting on. That was DOT gave a presentation about the South Outer Roadway, Queens side of the Queensboro Bridge, and how how they are going to redesign it based on the pedestrianizing of the South Outer Roadway. It was a good discussion. That was topic 1. Number 2, we had MTA give a good presentation on the Steinway Subway new elevator installation, which will be starting this summer. They gave a website that you could go to for information, which I put in my minutes. I don't have it here, but it's basically going to be a 2-year project from approximately this summer to summer, maybe to Q2 of 26. Thirdly, and this is there's a letter here in the packet from Florence, so I think we'll be voting on the next 2 topics just for letters of support. The first one is the DOT gave a presentation about what they call the 20th Road Pedestrian Safety Improvement. This is between 35th and 36th Street, and there's a new novel safety implementation that they're going to utilize, and it's called Sidewalk. So they're going to install a sidewalk, and provided it doesn't get parked on 24/7, it's intended for pedestrian safety. In conjunction with their sidewalk that they're installing on the north side of the cemetery there, they'll be putting a daylighting type, no standing spot on the northbound, on the west side of 20th, on 35th Street northbound, and the west side of this sidewalk installation. Our conclusion was that it was nobody had any objections to the presentation, and it was all very positive, and we decided to, at the time of the meeting, we didn't know we would be voting on this now. It seems that we will be voting on this, so I personally support this, and I think the whole committee did, so we'll be taking a vote. The intention is to take a vote to send the letter that has been drafted here on our packet about this board supporting the 20th Road pedestrian safety improvements.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion to send a letter of support to the Department of Transportation.
Correct.
In favor of the 20th Road pedestrian improvements. So you did get Dom's report, I think, by email today as well. Did we send the minutes? Didn't the minutes go out or no from his? I don't know. Okay, all right. But anyway.
The minutes didn't go out, but the letters went out.
All right, so can anyone make a motion to send a letter of support to the DOT regarding this project? Raise your hand, please. Okay, Frank, second. Vanessa, great. Thank you. Any questions, discussion? No? Okay, thank you. All right. We're ready. Okay, someone second. Yes. It's not a roll call, it's a show of hands. Show of hands. Amin, thank you. All right, so we're going to do a show of hands. All in favor, sending a letter of support to DOT in support of this project, raise your hand. Tyrone, are you good? Okay, great. All right. Okay, anyone opposed? And one person is not voting due to conflict of interest. Thank you. Okay, next item. Go ahead, Dom.
The next item was also discussed under new business, and it's the second draft letter in the package today, and it's a letter of support for State Senate Oversight Bill S. 5936, sponsored by Senator Gustavo Rivera. of the Bronx, and the bill calls for the creation of a public hearing process for Department of Motor Vehicles license renewals for motor vehicle repair shops. Should I read the letter?
I think people have the letter in front of them. Any,
Okay.
yeah, did you want?
Discussed in our committee was that this would be something kind of parallel to Dino's World of community board review when auto repair shops that are licensed by the DMV come up for renewal. I personally think it's a positive improvement. I do live in the Dutch Kills area. There are repair shops with excessive sidewalk and public space abuses, so I see this as a start to, fixing the problem. Some of the good comments made in the meeting were regarding how will it be enforced and so forth, and we all decided that even though we weren't sure, we still were in favor of holding these some of these businesses that frequently put their junk cars on the sidewalk, on the streets, which is actually illegal, in an attempt to curb some of that. So that's why we've drafted this letter for your consideration.
Okay. Jerry, you making a motion?
No, I'd like to make a comment.
Sure. And then let's get a motion on the table. Actually, let's get a motion on the
So
table.
I think this is a great letter, but I think, first of all, it's not just happening in Dutch Kills, it happens throughout the community board, specifically Woodside, and where I grew up. And I would strongly suggest we had all the council people that are involved in our community board, 2 council persons, and as well, this is not just the auto repair shops that are subject of this issue with respect to, there's also the car dealerships that abuse this situation. So I would suggest to include them.
Okay, so this letter is in support of a bill that's been introduced by
Right.
the state senator. So I don't
I
know,
know that,
does the
but the
bill
council
cover?
The council people can write a letter.
Okay.
If they see we're strong about this, they could write a letter in support as well.
Okay, so let's get a motion on the table for whatever it is that people want. I'm not going to say what the motion is, but someone put the motion on the table that you kind of want to see us vote on, right? There is a letter before us. So it is about sending a letter in support of the legislation that has been introduced by Gustavo Rivera and the State Senate. Adam?
Motion to send this letter in support.
Okay. All right, any questions or discussions?
I'd like to move to amend the letter to include all elected officials on the city and state level.
Okay, thank you. We'll make sure that they get that. They usually get copies of all the letters that we send out anyway. Was there anything else to be amended in addition to what Rod just said before we called a question?
Just to add the
Great.
car dealerships.
Add the car dealerships or mention that somewhere in the letter, even though it might not be part of the legislation. Okay, great. Anyone else? What's that? Tom Ryan calling to question. Shahanaz second. Okay, great. All in favor, raise your hand.
Is this as amended? Did we amend anything, or
He made a friendly amendment, and then that was the motion.
do we not need to vote on the motion to amend? I mean, I'm fine with it, but like, I feel like we need to vote on that amendment.
I should have said friendly, and it was accepted by the chair.
Okay, so friendly just
Yes.
means now that's in there. We're voting on it
Yes.
with those two.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, anyone opposed? Raise your hand. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Is transportation done, Dom?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. We're getting through, folks. We're almost done. I guess that is it for committee reports. Florence has requested that she do her report now, so go ahead, Florence.
Hello, good evening to you all. Welcome all of the newly appointed board members. Our office looks forward to working with you over the next few years. Our office is a New York City agency here to facilitate the community and the board members. As the Queens BP states, we are not a civic group nor a not-for-profit or lobbying group, but a New York City agency. We are here to assist you in receiving New York City agency resolutions. While we cannot promise outcomes, we work diligently to resolve your issues, no matter it's too big or too small. Questions, concerns, complaints are always welcome. Please share our phone number and email with your friends when they need help in the community. Our office works on items such as the recent inundation in the industrial business zone. Our office recently worked with the NYPD task force officers regarding 2 more RVs that were encroaching on New York City streets. They were offered services and moved from the community. At St. Michael's Cemetery, there was a recent action with the same task force. 31 automobiles were removed behind the cemetery where they were parked for an excessive amount of time. According to law section 4-08M8, street storage is not allowed. Additionally, Piece of Cake Trucking has leased a lot in our district for parking their vehicles. The hope is we will not see the issues we have seen in the past. Please always feel free to reach out at 718-626-1021 or email qn01@cb.nyc.gov. Thank you and congratulations to the new members, and thank you to the lasting sitting members.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Florence, and happy birthday once again. Okay, very quickly, any announcements from elected official representatives? I think I warned you all last time, a minute or less. So, let's go. Tyrone, you ready? All right, please go up to the mic and state your name and who you represent, and watch the countdown clock.
Hello, my name is Shauna Morlock. I am the Director of Community Affairs for State Senator Gonzalez. We're working really hard on the budget right now, fighting super hard for good cause eviction, protecting the 2019 rent stabilization laws. We're really trying hard to push through our hospital moratorium bill that would prevent any more hospital closures in New York State until it's been investigated. We're also pushing for Sammy's Law. Unfortunately, we had another child be hit in our district today. It's Sammy's Law, which would reduce the speed limit across New York City. And and we're doing office hours at Astoria Houses on Monday, April 22nd, and we're still accepting discretionary funding requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. Next. Step right up. Your daughter's happy. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany, here on behalf of Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez. So, as for her legislation, I know I have 1 minute, so I made a cute little flyer for you all, because I cannot do this in 1 minute, guys. So all of her legislation is on the top. In the middle is our community project funding, which we are still taking applicants for. As of right now, we still do not have guidance for the Appropriations Committee as to what qualifies, but we still encourage you guys to apply. Lastly, student debt relief. The Biden administration put out new set of rules this morning for the elimination of student loans. If implemented, the new plan targets borrowers who have carried debt for many years and those who are at risk of defaulting of their loans. The 2 main ones that qualifies are undergrad debt that started their repayment before July 1st in 2005, and another one is grad school debt that started their repayment on or before July 1st in 2000. Again, everything is on this flyer. Please feel free to take one. It's on the table along with some of my business cards.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan from the Mayor's Office Community Affairs Unit, and a happy birthday to Florence. I will be quick. The first is about the mayor announced the New York City first ever nonprofit advisor council, comprised of the leaders and expertise in the nonprofit sector, and advisor council will work closely with the New York City Mayor's Office of Nonprofit Service to serve as the link between the administrations and the nonprofit organizations to serving the New Yorkers. And also, administration launched this New York City Workforce Development Council, a group of the leaders from the business community, educational institution, union, and training providers who help develop and sustain the strategies will help the New Yorkers and finding the family sustained careers and help the employees tap with the talent they need to success. So this council will make recommendations to Mayor's Office of Talent and Workforce Development. And another one is I want to share with this number is 917-909-2288. So if you want her the updates and the news from administration, you can send the message to the number, and they're gonna send you the link. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Megan. Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is all I got so far.
Good evening, Community Board 1. My name is Angela, and I'm with the Office of Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. As our office continues to monitor the developing situation in the Middle East, we understand the impact it may have on communities here in our congressional district. If you have any questions, need resources, or would like to discuss how we can support your community during this time, please don't hesitate to reach out. This upcoming Friday, our office will be hosting an art showcase at the Variety Boys and Girls Club from 4 to 6 p.m. The art show will display submissions for this year's congressional art competition, which we're still accepting submissions for up until the 26th. If you're around, please feel free to attend. We will also have community partners in attendance tabling to provide resources available to high school students in New York City. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Hello, everybody. My name is Javier Figueroa. I'm with District Attorney Melinda Katz. I have a statement about Detective Diller. I'm going to keep it very quick. District Attorney Katz stands in solidarity with our law enforcement officers. The DA's office will continue to work tirelessly, seeking justice on behalf of Detective Diller, his family, friends, and the NYPD. 2 individuals were quickly apprehended at the scene and are now charged with serious crimes for their alleged roles in the killing. The alleged shooter is facing a first-degree murder charge in the death of Detective Diller, and first-degree attempted murder charge attempting to fire his weapon at an NYPD sergeant who was also at the scene. If convicted, this defendant faces up to life in prison without the possibility of a parole. A second man, the accused driver of the vehicle the defendant was in, is charged with illegal possession of a weapon after a gun was found in the car. The DA's office will not rest until justice is served in this case. Shifting gears, DA Katz is aware that scooters are and continue to be a very huge issue across Queens County. And so because of that, she has partnered with multiple precincts, but the 114th is one of them, which is why I bring them up tonight. And so far, she has confiscated, and this number is due to change, 315 scooters for being illegally parked on sidewalks and streets along busy commercial strips with high pedestrian traffic. Any more information, you can feel free to contact me. I'm here every meeting.
Thank you, Javier.
Hello all, good evening. My name is Kazi and I am the community liaison from Assemblymember Stephen Raga's office. The following are the updates that I would like to share with you all. We have introduced A9649, which would require schools to include the net cost in their student financial aid award letter so that families can understand how much they are expected to pay to make informed decisions on education. For upcoming events, on April 20th, our office will be having Earth Day of Action from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Rusty Wheelbarrow Farm in Woodside. Volunteers will learn about the work of the Rusty Wheelbarrow Farm and will help the composting and street cleanup of the surrounding area in Woodside. On April 20th, we will also be having an Earth Day recycling event from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Maspeth Federal Savings in Maspeth. Services will include paper shredding, e-waste, as well as pet adoption truck. On May 11th, we will be having our AAPI Heritage Month celebration from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Elmhurst Hospital Center. We hope you guys can all come and enjoy with us. Thank you so much and have a good evening. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi there, my name is Jingle Mahmood. I'm the community liaison for Assemblymember Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. I'll share with you guys 2 community events happening within the next 2 weeks. But no worries if you mishear what I say. I have placed the flyers on the table over there in English and in Spanish. Our housing clinic with Communities Resist will be on Thursday, April 18th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And with AARP, we'll be having a paper shredding event at the Jackson Heights Shopping Center on Friday, April 26th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. But the following day, we'll have another paper shredding event in partnership with Councilmember Caban, Saturday, April 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Astoria parking lot. Look out for a white truck. One policy-related update I'd like to share with you guys. Today, we received 8 calls from Astoria residents voicing their opinion on the housing package. Feel free to call us at 718-457-0384 to let us know what your opinion is as well. Thank you all and good night.
Thank you so much.
Hey guys, my name is Claire Collins, and I'm a community board liaison at the Office of Queensborough President Donovan Richards. So we're happy to announce that our community board process has come to a close, and we have appointed 117 new appointees throughout all 14 boards in the borough. Everyone, whether appointed or not, has been notified via email. So welcome to all the new board members who have been chosen. I'm the one who interviewed you over the phone, so it's nice to see what you look like. If you have any questions about the process, please feel free to reach out. Our director of community boards, his name is Khalil Bragg. You guys saw him last night at the ceremony. His email is kbragg@queensbp.org. These are my business cards. I'm going to leave some at the table over there. We have a couple of events coming up. On April 17th, tomorrow at 6 p.m., we're marking the end of Ramadan with an Eid al-Fitr celebration. Eid Mubarak, they already passed, but. And then on Friday, April 26th from 3 to 7 p.m., we're going to have an event. Oop. All right. Well, all of our events are listed on queensbp.org. Yeah, and you can RSVP, queensbp.org/RSVP. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire. Okay, I think that's it for elected officials. Any member of the public want to speak? You can go up to the mic, sign in, introduce yourself, please. And you have 2 minutes.
I'm a little bit scattered here, but my name is Eileen Mondello, and I'm a longtime Astoria resident. I live in Upper Ditmars. My husband was born in Astoria, and we wanted to know more about the LaGuardia Plaza, land use. So I don't know, like, because you had a proposal here, from what I understand, and much of my little area didn't know anything about it. Was the proposal approved?
So no, the proposal, the project hasn't been certified yet. It was kind of a pre-certification informational session for the land use committee.
Okay, will there be a neighborhood meeting?
There will be first of all, there'll be another land use committee meeting once it's certified, which the public is invited to.
Okay.
And then there will be a public hearing where the public can hear the presentation and speak out for or against. So there will be. So if you, yes.
Okay.
Are you signed up to our email list?
I did sign up.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Just recently.
So
when I'm
everybody
hearing
should
about all
know,
of this.
the public, you can sign up for our email list on our website and get all the notices about all the meetings that we have that go out. So it's just it hasn't been certified yet.
We still have time to object. How can we object?
We'll definitely come to the meetings, the public
Okay.
hearings, and then if you have concerns now, you can contact the board office and let them know that you have concerns about the project. You can speak to your council member.
Right.
You can, talk to your neighbors. So there's different things that you can do if you have concerns about it, and learn. And you can watch the presentation. It is on our Queens Community Board 1 YouTube channel. So if you Google that, and the land use committee meeting that was in March. Was it in March? In March, you can actually view the presentation.
Okay. Queens Community Board YouTube channel.
Yeah, we can follow up after and give you the info.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, say your name and sign in.
We sign in first. My name is Austin Smith. I'm here on behalf of Museum of the Moving Image. All right. As I said, I'm here on behalf of MOMI. I believe it's the only cultural institution, CIG cultural institution in Community Board 1. It's something that, it's a privilege that we don't take lightly. And in that, we have to be very cognizant of all that we can and cannot provide to the community. And in response to that, we've decided to begin a program called Open Worlds. This program is going to have two major facets. First, we're going to push our point of sale backwards to the entryways of our exhibitions, which will make our cafe lobby, outdoor courtyard space, and William Fox Amphitheater free and open to the public during all of our open hours. And secondly, this will be accompanied by free weekly offerings of community-oriented programming that will change on a week-to-week basis, and we'll have a wide range of themes ranging from science and technology, pride, content creation. We're looking at partnering with Disco Cinema Tehran and much, much more. It's about 20 weeks. I could go on for a long time about it, but we're very excited to be opening this up to the community. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at asmith@movingimage.org.
Thank you so much, Austin. We love the Museum of the Moving Image. We also have some other cultural institutions, though, in CB1 too. So I want to make sure that everyone knows we have a few, but that's definitely a great place, and that's great to hear those plans. Great. When you're ready, say your name, please.
Yes. Hi, I'm Angel. I'm with the Angel Heart with the Long Island City Partnership. Just really quickly want to announce our LIC Springs Street Festival that's coming up in May, on May 18th. We have a rain date this year, so we won't be in the rain like we were last year, hopefully, on May 19th, so hopefully it doesn't rain the whole weekend. But it's an open, free street festival. It's open to the public to enjoy activities with local LIC businesses and organizations. It's free to participate as a business or an organization, so if you are one of those, please reach out to participate. We are closing registration this week, and you can find all this information at licqns.com. I'll leave my cards on the table as well if you want more info. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. Make sure you sign your name, too.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I've signed in. Thank you. Hi, my name is Dan Miller. I'm a volunteer member leader for Open New York, a pro-housing organization. I had the Queens branch, and I just wanted to say that we are excited to to testify in front of the board for City of Yes for housing opportunity. We're really interested in it, and we thank you in advance for your hospitality and look forward to working with you more.
Okay, thank you. You signed in? Yes. Okay, great. Anyone else, member of the public, want to speak? Okay, any new or old business? Because I forgot to do that earlier. Want to make sure. Any new or old business? Okay, motion to adjourn. Marie? Second. Brian and everybody else? If you have your form, please bring it forward. If you want to do the opt-in form.
Are there any new board members here who did not get their forms? New board members, please come to the front of the room if you did not sign your form.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Thank you to Rod again. Appreciate it. Yeah.